All Pro Sports presents Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. A hard-hitting, up-close look at the most feared defensive end in the NFL. Join All Pro Reggie White as he breaks down what it takes to be a defensive end. Join All Pro stars Eric Allen, Jeff Jager, Rodney Hampton, Jim Lachey, Jeff Gossett, and Coach Don Shula for the inside scoop on what makes Reggie White the most respected man on the field. And the computer graphics of All Pro Sports Virtual Stadium give you a new perspective on defensive football. So get ready for power, get set for the hit, and get ready to drive it home with Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. Reginald Howard White was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1961. An active youngster, Reggie fell in love with football at an early age.
I picked up a football probably around the age of 9. We used to play sandlot in the backyard and on the street. I liked the contact, I liked to hit, and didn't like being hit much, but I liked the contact and the competition of the game.
Young Reggie dreamed of being a star athlete, but by the time he was a teenager, Reggie also had another calling.
I told my mother when I was 12 years old that my goal and my dream was to be a football player and a minister. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I would be either one of them, especially a minister. I mean, my mother told me one time she thought I was going to grow up to be a criminal.
To pursue his athletic dreams, Reggie started by lettering once in track and 3 times each in football and basketball at Howard High School.
I was all-state in basketball my senior year. And, sometimes I kind of wish I had stuck with it, especially with the shoe contracts and everything everybody getting. But it was exciting, and I missed the game.
Robert Pulliam, Reggie's football and basketball coach, saw a spark of greatness in the young man.
When I was a junior in high school, he told me that I had the potential of being the best defensive lineman to ever play football. I was amazed when I thought back on it because I couldn't believe that he saw that in me.
Pulliam pushed his star athlete hard, often to the point of tears.
When we played basketball, he would elbow me and he would make me cry all the time. And I just didn't know what he was doing. And one day we played basketball, he elbowed me, and I went in the back and I started crying. And he came back, and I'm looking for him to apologize to my classmates trying to console me. And he came back in the back, grabbed me in the chest, looked at me in the face and said, "If you expect me to apologize, you're crazy." He said, "Until you start fighting me back, I'm gonna keep doing this." And I'm like, man, I'm a big, tall, skinny kid, and he's a big old buff guy. And I said, man, I'm gonna have to fight back. So I started fighting back.
In fighting back, Reggie found the strength and self-confidence that would characterize his professional career.
I guess about 3 years ago, I realized what he did. He was teaching me, or trying to teach me how to be tough. And through that aspect, he taught me how to be tough mentally and spiritually.
But that toughness would become arrogance when Reggie's dream came true and he was ordained at the age of 17.
I became a minister too young. I had been a Christian for 4 years, and the Bible warns against becoming a minister too early. And because of that, I started building walls around myself because I had gotten arrogant, spiritually arrogant, to the point where it was almost like if me and Billy Graham was sitting next to each other telling somebody about Jesus. Billy needed to be quiet and let Reggie talk.
The young man realized a change would have to come.
I knew that I had to change some of my ways and do the things the way that God wanted me to do it instead of the way that I wanted to do it.
At the University of Tennessee, Reggie experienced for the first time the excitement of playing before huge crowds.
That sends some adrenaline flowing through you when you walk out on the field and it's 96,000 strong. I remember when we played Alabama, we hadn't beat Alabama in 12 years. The fans feeling that, hey man, we're getting ready to beat these guys. And they start stomping, and you feel it on the field. You start thinking, man, this is great. We're gonna win this game.
Reggie played hard and began to learn the importance of teamwork and leadership. He also began to find the inner peace that had eluded him.
In many respects, I didn't allow people in my life to be able to tell me what was right and what was wrong. And when I began to allow people in my life, like my pastor, and and then of course getting married, that helped me out a whole lot because I began to see what my responsibilities was.
By his senior year at UT, Reggie was team captain.
I didn't expect to be chosen the only team captain. Usually you have an offensive player and a special teams player. But that was special because I was chosen as the only team captain my senior year. But I expected being a team captain because I prepared myself enough to be in that position. I chose to be a leader. I didn't want to be a follower anymore.
Far from being a follower, Reggie White was the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year.
To be able to be one of only 3 defensive players to ever make SEC Player of the Year, that was a highlight for me, and that's something that I'll be able to cherish for the rest of my life.
It never was easy for him in the beginning, I don't think, and that's the one thing that sets him apart from the rest of his contemporaries is nothing was really given to him. He went to the USFL and he didn't go to the NFL, and he had to come to the NFL in a situation where he had to prove himself.
In his first NFL game, White put on a brilliant performance.
Well, it ended up being one of the best games of my career. We played against the New York Giants. They had beat us, I think, 16-10. And I had 2.5 sacks, had a bunch of tackles. And my goal from that point on was to be the best that ever played my position.
I think Reggie White, when he came into the league, it really changed the structure of how offensive linemen, play the game. To have a guy that's 6'6", 310 pounds, and can move like he is, or he can, no one has seen that before.
Reggie White, one of the greatest defensive ends that's ever played the game, a guy that can rush the passer, a guy that's going to line up for you every week, and a guy that's also great against the run.
The quarterback's waking nightmare, the Minister of Defense.
Hi, I'm Reggie White. I'm going to show you what it takes to be a defensive end. Let's get to work.
Defensive linemen need power to take on the offensive linemen and control the line of scrimmage.
We also must have quickness and agility to move to the ball. Here's what I do to maintain my size, strength, speed, and agility.
Reggie begins each workout session with stretching exercises.
I find it more difficult to prepare for each season. You got a lot of young guys that's coming in today that are just getting stronger and faster. And as I get older, I have to work harder every year.
Reggie stretches his hamstrings to be flexible for his charge and jumping over other players. He stretches his groin to help with lateral movement. Reggie's back is the source of his explosion. He keeps it loose to help avoid pulls. Reggie needs a strong midsection to make proper use of his arms and legs. He also stretches his hip flexors. And finally, Reggie stretches his stomach muscle.
I also run for conditioning.
During the off-season, run sprints 3 times a week.
I do my running. I get my aerobics exercises in. After I get my rest for maybe a month or 2, to start working to get back in shape.
During the season, run 10 40s once a week. You should also run 110s once a week. Run 10 to 18 in a set and try to run each in under 20 seconds. Later in the week, run 3 to 7 220s. Try to do each in under 40 seconds.
I've had to sacrifice going and have fun compared to going and work out. I mean, there's things that all of us want to do other than going to work out. So I focus on the reward instead of focusing on the pain and focusing on the fun that I could be having. I lift weights to maintain my size, quickness, and strength.
When lifting, be sure to start light. Lifting too much weight too soon can lead to injury.
The advice I have for youngsters who are just getting started, if they're playing football, The first thing I would advise them to do is not to lift weights until they get 16.
Reggie does his heavy lifting early in the week. He wears a weight belt to keep his back stable. Reggie uses the bench press and the incline press to build his chest. This helps with his arm extensions, coming off the ball and getting to the offensive lineman. Keeping a close grip on the bench helps with Reggie's hand extensions and gives him greater control. He does a series of routines to help with his explosive power, squats, deadlifts, and power cleans. Leg curls and leg extensions help with Reggie's explosiveness. They also help with flexibility, which is key for his footwork and stance. Reggie does sit-ups to strengthen his midsection. He does 4 sets of 25 3 times a week. He also uses the Stairmaster 3 or 4 times a week for 25 minutes.
I believe that the most important part of the year is the off-season, because you got to come in prepared. And if you don't come in prepared, you can get injured. And I've cut down on my injuries by coming in prepared for the season because I'm in shape. The clothing and equipment I use reduces my risk of injury and helps me to perform at my best. The helmet is used to protect the head from concussions. The face mask is used to protect the face. The shoulder pads are used to protect the shoulders so that you may be able to handle the impact that you may have when you collide with another player. The shoes, of course, which are grass shoes, are used to help you give grip into the ground. And of course, the elbow pads are used to protect your elbows. You must practice the basic fundamental techniques of the skills you use at your position over and over again until they become instinctive. These are the techniques you use as a defensive end. The basic stance for a defensive lineman is similar to the three-point stance used by an offensive lineman. Some defensive linemen place both hands down in a 4-point stance.
Your feet should be shoulder width apart, slightly staggered, with your dominant foot back. Keep your knees bent and your hips slightly lower than your shoulders.
If you keep your body close to the ground, you'll be able to get underneath your opponent's shoulder pads and be in a better position to control the line of scrimmage.
Keep your upper body leaning forward slightly with very little weight resting on your hand or hands in a 4-point stance to allow for quick movements in any direction.
In a 3-point stance, your free arm should be resting loosely on your thigh so that you can use it to propel you into pass rush techniques.
Keep your back straight and your head up so you can see your opponent across the line.
Some defensive linemen play in a semi-erect stance.
Place your feet shoulder width apart.
One foot should be slightly behind the other so that you can push off quickly and deliver a blow.
Reggie White's hard blows, quick thinking, and 13 sacks earned him NFC Rookie of the Year honors in 1985.
Well, to be named NFC Rookie of the Year was, if people know me, they know in many respects that I don't thrive on that. It meant a lot, but it was almost like it's something that I expected. When I expect things out of myself, and I feel like if I work at it, then it should come. And a lot of the honors that I've received have been great throughout my career.
I think that after Reggie came in the game, it changed a lot of the blocking schemes. It changed a lot of the guys. They had to get bigger on the offensive line to be able to compete with a guy like this.
Your primary responsibility as a defensive lineman is to take on the charge of the offensive lineman across from you. You must prevent him from blocking you in a particular direction.
Also, watch the other 2 closest offensive linemen. Either one might try to block you out of the play.
If you watch the lineman closest to you, you'll be able to read your key and determine what type of play the offense is running. You will also be in a position to take on the block of the offensive lineman attempting to block you. On most plays, you should be crowding the line of scrimmage to get as close as possible to the opposing offensive lineman. You might play a little off the line if your assignment is to read the offense before you charge your opponent. You must react quickly at the snap of the ball to gain leverage when taking on the offensive lineman's block.
Reggie's been a dominant force. Every game plan every time we've played Reggie White, and whether he's with the Eagles or he's with the Packers, we always had a special game plan for him.
But no game plan could stop Reggie White in 1986 when his 18 sacks led him to the Pro Bowl, and his impressive 4 sacks in that game won him the MVP.
During that time, we had some people that were doing some work for us in ministry that had gotten killed in a car accident. And it was special to become MVP of that game for them. I dedicated that game to them, and that was the special part about it. On a running play, the offensive lineman will try to drive you in a particular direction. You must protect the side where the offensive lineman is trying to block you. Here's how to protect your left side.
React at the snap of the ball and charge the offensive lineman. Step forward with your left foot and drive your hands into his chest.
Then force your opponent backwards. Escape from his attempt to block you and move to the ball. Now watch me protect my left side in real time.
If you are protecting on your right side, step forward with your right foot and use your right forearm.
Try to put 2 or 3 guys to block Reggie White because he that much better than everybody else. So we just try to contain him.
You may choose to use your hands instead of your forearm in taking on the charge and protecting your side. Shoot your hands underneath the armpits of your opponent. Use your hands, arms, and leverage to lift your opponent's shoulders and drive him backwards. It may be more difficult to use your hands if your opponent is taller than you are. You might leave yourself open and let your opponent get underneath your hands to your body and legs.
In 1987, Reggie White's quick moves helped him to score his first NFL touchdown. It came at the expense of Washington quarterback Doug Williams.
To steal the ball from Doug that year, it was a special moment and a great moment, mainly because, of course, most defensive linemen don't get a chance to run the ball in for touchdown, let alone run for 70 yards for a touchdown. That was real special to me. I'll never forget that moment because, when I snatched the ball from Doug and ran it in, I was in the end zone, and all the guys came and jumped on me and, like, way to go, big dog. Most guys call me big dog, way to go. And they started walking off the field. And I looked at them, I was like, man, y'all better help me off this field. As you take on your opponent's charge, you'll get a sense of which way he's trying to block you by feeling the pressure. You must react to pressure and resist your opponent's attempt to block you in that direction.
If you don't fight through the pressure, or if you attempt to go around the block, you risk taking yourself out of the play.
There's a scripture in the Bible said, if you don't work, you don't eat. So, a lot of times you see guys that's not working and you say, man, they don't even deserve to eat, with the way they work. But I think all the great players will tell you that I became great because I worked at it. The offensive lineman knows the snap count, the type of play, and which direction the play is going. If he knew what direction your charge was coming from, he'd have a tremendous advantage in blocking you. So we use different charges or stunts to confuse the offensive line.
For the slant, Reggie will line up as the left defensive end.
Step up with your right foot and rip with your right forearm into the point of the right shoulder of your opponent. Take your second step with your left foot and get past your opponent. With your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, find the ball and move upfield. Now watch the slant charge in real time. The slant to the right is the same as the slant to the left, except that you take your first step with your left foot.
From 88 to 92, he was the focal point of our defense, and everything revolved around Reggie.
In 1991, the Philly defense was so dominating, 5 of its players were named to the Pro Bowl.
We ended up being the second best defense of all time. And that was a special year. Wish we could have won a Super Bowl and to have been known as that. During that time, we had 5 quarterbacks that we had went through. And our defense won a lot of games.
Off the field, White preached against drugs on inner-city Philadelphia street corners.
So you have kids that travel around from home to home and don't have guys like us to come and talk to them or to sit with them. And we need to begin to find ways to go into these areas and sit with some of these young kids and talk to them, because they can only see us from a distance. I think in order to be their hero, you have to try to make sure that you're going down and getting down and dirty with them. Another style we use is the loop. This consists of getting outside of the offensive lineman to get to the ball. Let's start with the loop to the left.
On this play, Reggie will line up as the right defensive end. You start by taking a lateral step with your left foot, moving behind the defensive tackle.
Whichever gap you take, make sure you get your arm and shoulder past the head of the blocker. Having cleared the blocker, you move to the ball. Here's a loop charge to the left in real time. In a loop stunt to the right, your movement is the same as a loop stunt to the left, except that you take your first lateral step with your right foot.
The focal point of the offense, as soon as play one to the end of the game, is focused on Reggie. So it makes my job a lot easier. The quarterback doesn't get a lot of time to throw the ball.
You will have more success as a defensive player if you are able to intimidate and confuse your opponent. When he's thinking that you might slant or loop, you might add to his confusion by using the shoot the gap technique to penetrate the offensive line.
Reggie will line up as the right defensive end and shoot the gap to his left.
Step quickly at a 45-degree angle to your left. Use your right arm and shoulder to shield your right hip and leg from the blocker. Step forward with your right foot to continue your penetration through the offensive line. Maintain your balance to protect against any pressure from the left side. After you've made penetration through the line, find the ball and move to tackle the ball carrier. And this is shooting the gap in real time. In shooting the gap to your right, you take your first step with your right foot and then follow the same steps used in shooting the gap to your left.
For this example, Reggie will line up as the left defensive end.
The relationship between me and the Philadelphia Eagles was over. And to go to Green Bay made a total commitment to me. A lot of people said, well, he went after the money. I'm not going to lie, yeah, I did. You know, that was one of the reasons I went there, because of some of the things that we were trying to do in the inner cities. I knew that I needed the resources to be able to do that.
You look at the things that he does off the field and the way that he affects the play of his teammates. He's definitely a player to be looked up to.
I believe that the way you impact people's lives is that you help meet their needs. You educate them. You don't just give them stuff, but you actually make them work for whatever they get and give them opportunities that no one else is giving them.
I'm just glad Reggie White doesn't rush punts, because he rushes the quarterback good enough. Reggie is probably one of the premier pass rushers that's ever played the game.
On pass plays, the offensive lineman wants to keep you from breaking through the offensive line and getting to the quarterback. You will be more effective in getting past the offensive lineman if you use one of the basic pass rush techniques. The first we'll look at is the swim move.
For the swim move, Reggie will line up as the left defensive end.
At the snap of the ball, you must determine whether the play will be a pass or a run as you make your first contact with the offensive lineman. When you see that the offensive lineman is protecting his area to keep you from getting to the quarterback, you grab your opponent's outside shoulder with your left hand. Then pull down with your arm and shoulder to raise your body up and over the offensive lineman's arm and shoulder, as if you're using the swimming stroke. When you pass the offensive lineman, you will be free to move to the quarterback. Here's what a real-time swim move looks like. I think instinct is developed and it comes natural. I think the longer you work at it, the more it becomes natural. But you have to work at it. If you're not working at it, you're not going to get any kind of instinct.
In 1993, Reggie White made his 133rd sack and was named the NFL's all-time sack leader.
There were some goals that I set, and to be the all-time sack leader, you know, is great, but I know I still got a long ways to go. I plan on playing a good while. And, you know, Deacon Jones told me one time that he has 180 sacks, so maybe it'll be more special if I can get over 180.
Now let's look at the club move. In using the club move, get upfield quickly to draw your opponent out to you and try to get your forearm underneath his armpit and throw him outside. Continue to move inside and upfield to the ball.
Here's what the club move looks like in real time. One of the things that I've learned to do is to relax, because I know that one out of the 70 plays that we might make, I want to make sure that I'm prepared to make that play at a crucial time. In using the rip move, you charge the offensive lineman low and hard, and in one continuous movement.
Drive your inside forearm into his outside shoulder, turning his shoulders toward the side of impact. As he turns towards the rip side, move around the corner quickly, underneath his arm and shoulder, and pass him to the quarterback.
Here's the rip move at full speed.
In 1994, Reggie White was one of only 3 active players to be named to the NFL's 75th year anniversary team, the game's elite assembly of its greatest players.
I remember when I was named to the 75th year all-time team, when I was told it really didn't do nothing, but it was special, and I really got the feel of it when I went and sat with Dick Buckus and Marion Motley and Gene Upshaw and those guys, all those old guys, Otto Graham, sitting there and you beginning to feel, man, this is special.
In passing situations such as long yardage for a first down, you and another defensive lineman can work together using the wide loop stunt to get to the quarterback.
The wide loop stunt is similar to shooting the gap, except this time you want to make contact with the offensive tackle.
The inside defensive lineman then steps toward the offensive lineman as if he's going to take on his block.
He then takes a step to the outside, follows with his inside foot, and takes a loop around the offensive tackle.
Then continue your pass rush to the quarterback.
Here's the wide loop stunt in real time.
Those are the basic techniques you need to master to be an effective defensive end. Now let me show you the drills I use to stay on top of my game.
Reggie runs around these bags to simulate avoiding players on the ground without looking at them. He does 4 different agility drills: straight on, sideways, up, and back pedal.
I know what it takes to be a great defensive end is that you have to work at it. You have to have an excellent work ethic. I think in anything you do.
Reggie uses the sleds twice a week during the season. They give him the feeling of giving a shot with his hands and shedding a block. Reggie gets on his knees and drives his hands into the sled. He also hits the sled from a 3-point stance.
The drills I've shown you are designed to perfect your techniques. You must practice them over and over again.
Tragedy struck when Reggie's church in Tennessee was burned to the ground in a series of arsons that claimed over 50 African-American churches.
Well, it's been a bad experience, but it's a good experience. The people in Wisconsin have sent in a lot of money to help us rebuild, and that's special to me because the people really stood with us and said that they really care, and they showed that they care about the resources that they sent in to help us rebuild our church, which is in another state.
While Reggie brought congregations to their feet Sunday mornings, he continued to bring quarterbacks to their knees Sunday afternoons.
I've been asked that question a lot, if I see a conflict between being a minister and playing pro football. And no, that's not a conflict. Off the field, I have a controlled aggression, and sometimes I get mad, but I keep it under control. Well, on the field, I present that same aggression, but in a physical manner. Dedicated practice and a strong mental approach will make you a superior football player. I would advise young people not only to set goals, but take a leadership role. to be the guy that's in doing the extra work, to be the guy that's in putting extra film time in, to not get hooked up on your cars and your women, but to get hooked up on your game. I've never won a championship in my life, even in college or high school or middle school or even in Pop Warner, or we called it Dixie Youth back then. That's the thing that's eluded me throughout my whole career. And as a ball player, that's the thing that's even driving me more. I want one. I don't need 4. I'll trade in 10 Pro Bowls any day to get 1 Super Bowl. When I line up for the last time, I think that it's already been etched in stone that you know, I've accomplished a goal of being a great football player, maybe the best that have played my position. But I think, and I know that the thing that I want people to most remember me for is that I was a man of God. I was a man of integrity. I was an honest man. I was a family man. I loved my wife and my children. I would hope that that would overshadow my game.
You maintain a positive attitude, believe in yourself, and make the sacrifices you have to make, devoting yourself to practicing the techniques you have learned. You can become a better defensive end.